deity? That was the next question that one of the sisters had.
In ancient Egypt, it's called Heka.
Right, absolutely.
And in ancient Sumer became ancient Babylon. And they practice what we call Mishnah magic, or Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian money magic, and Babylonian sex magic as they political tools of conquering. So they weaponized it against us. Those things were forbidden. Ninursin, son of Enlil, is the one who gave the rituals to his kindred, right? So they all practicing Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian money magic, Babylonian sex magic. This includes adrenochrome harvesting, cannibalism, mass slaughter of animals, bloodletting rituals of varying different forms. So in Sumer, they practiced these things when Enlil came. They were prohibited under Enki and Inanna.
Right.
That's what make you a sinner. Anybody who follow what we call the rites of Ninursin or the rites of sin is a sinner. If you're not following Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian money magic, and Babylonian sex magic, even if you don't know it, you can be following it.
Right.
But
so when you're saying Babylonian sex magic, what does all of that entail? Can you get a little bit deeper with that?
Yeah, so what they're using is the sex magic is the defiling of the youth, sexually penetrating prepubescent children.
Oh, hell no. Oh man, but go ahead though. Yeah, that's sick.
But they doing it as a tool of oppression.
Right.
Right. So it's in the Bible where it say that they entered into through the root chakra. I forgot the term that they use, but that's how you make the kings or the princes disqualified from rulership. You anally penetrate them. You are not fit to rule if you've been anally penetrated as a male, because it ruptures your root chakra and causes insanity in the adult.
Oh, wow.
Other forms of sex magic, orgies. Orgies generate a massive amount of energy if you do it in a domed facility like a basilica, right? You can harness the energy if the priest know what he's doing that's officiating over the orgy. There's also sex magic that exchanges sex for currency, right? So we call it prostitution.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, but that used to be an ancient practice for us to for the men who were single. They had women villages where he could go and have sex, but they didn't have diseases back then like they have now. 90% of the diseases that we encounter, these diseases are man-made.
Oh, wow. So now, what is the difference then between, like, the true clear difference between black magic and white magic as it relates to the practice of it?
The practice of white magic. White magic is most unrealistic shit in the world because it's only doing good shit. But if you don't do a protection ritual, a white magician won't last. Black magic, on the other hand, is chaos magic. Whatever work, use it.
So whatever work, use it. Like, it doesn't matter.
It don't matter. If it work, use it. If it don't work, discard it. That's black magic. White magic is you trying to do that old love and light ass shit they be always talking about. Oh, yeah. Love and light to you, brother. Ashe. That diet woke ass shit. Them motherfuckers ain't gonna make it. They overly righteous with that white magic shit. A real witch that's really a wise woman, because that's what witch means. A real witch used both black and white magic according to the conditions or circumstances she confronted with. The same with the warlock. But I don't know why they call him a warlock, because that's not a person, but it's a condition created by war that locks out the wealth, like Haiti. But a true witch doesn't see nothing called black magic or white magic. You either got the magic or you don't. And it's always a motherfucker with no abracadabra saying magic ain't real.
So black magic, who coined those phrases, black magic, white magic? Is that what it was originally called, or how did that come about?
It came about by learning how to take the most potent forms of the conjure, which is also another way of saying alchemy. Taking the most potent forms of the conjure and you demonize it. You demonize it along with the people who practice it, and they all black. Everything that's been falsely accused is all black. And the ones who accusing is the ones who profess to be all white. But here's the kicker. The white nobility, which is really the black nobility, but they free white persons in law. They tell you don't practice none of the shit that they using to oppress you, but they still use it.
Right. So now with that being said, so my question is, like, is there, because you have a lot of people that think that it takes certain different elements, so to speak, to be able to do this magic, right? Like, do you go get some spices, some herbs, some of this, a little bit of blood from a chicken, or I'm being facetious, but this is truly how people think of magic. Is that way that we should perceive magic being done?
The most powerful form of magic is called love magic. And that is a magic created by syncing heart chakras with another person. And it doesn't have to be sexually based at all. You just got to have a heart-to-heart connection, and two or more gathered together in my name, there I am also. It's the love magic. It's the energy. That energy that they talk about harnessing is pure love energy. That's the manifestation of this energy in human form is the Queen of Heaven and Earth.
Okay. So is it that women are more powerful at that than men? Because sometimes say that the female energy when practicing magic is way more powerful than the male power. How do you view that?
That's because of the mitochondrial link to the earth. The earth facilitates the conjure of women. The man that don't go through the woman, his conjure is delayed until earth decides to move him up on the chart of things that she's willing to facilitate. Men they're not the owners of the earth rights. The earth rights is those conjurers that hold something called Mach in place, which is the divine balance of nature. And the women are the custodians of the mitochondrial, and they were the ones who decided to have men manifest on earth so they can have companionship and protection, because they had a forewarning or a prophecy about somebody coming from a distant star system. It even talks about it in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. But this was the prophecy of the coming Anunnaki. And so the Queen of Heaven and Earth went to Prime Creator and consulted with the earth to create protectors or guardian spirits of the earth that would manifest in the physical form of a human to fend off any attackers to the women. And that's why we so out of balance, because we not operating according to the laws of might. We are operating according to the laws of man. Man-made laws, codified law. It's always in a codex.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a question. I think this was a good question too. One of the sisters was like, can the ancient Egyptian deities be used in a magical way? If so, how and why?
First, you got to see them as energy. You can't look at them as people no more because they ain't physically here right now. So they left an energy signature. That's how you know they ever existed. The energy signature they left it in art, bas relief, stellar relief, or hieroglyphics, what we call the metal netter, the writing of God or the divine right. So they left these energy signatures for us to harness that same energy in the self. Them our ancestors. What they are, what they were, we are. What we are is what they were. We just at a different time on the movement throughout the boundless universe.
Right. So when we talk about the ancient Egyptian deities as energy beings, right? Like when we talk about Nefu or Geb or Nut or Noon, all of these beings are or represent certain energies that pretty much can be used by us to do good or bad, correct?
Yeah. But
So with that,
your intention is what make it good or bad, by the way, because you can have good intentions that require you to murder a motherfucker.
yeah.
Right? So you at home, you sitting on the couch, your wife in the kitchen cooking, and somebody kicked the back door in and come in there accosting your wife. What you gonna do? Sit there and keep watching TV?
No, heck no.
Yeah, so
I
when
might not.
they
My wife
gotta
would.
get this idea that performing your function as a man is inherently evil. Cause now, what we gonna do? 9 out of 10 niggas gonna say, call the police. 9 out of 10 of them. I'm not saying call the police. I don't even want the motherfuckers to know he came in the house so they won't never be looking for his ass when they can't find him.
I know that's right. So you saying that performing the duties of a man is inherently evil? Why is that?
It's tagged as evil by the power elite. When you realize that they're trying to conquer Earth, and the only way to conquer Earth is to neutralize alpha males, it makes sense. Anything that an alpha male would do to protect his woman has been demonized.
Got you.
You supposed to beat a nigga ass if you walking down the street and he grab your woman breast while you standing there. You supposed to beat the bejesus out that dude. But now you got the people so conditioned, there is no instant karma, because you can't, if you're protecting your woman, you can never accumulate a negative karmic debt. If you're protecting your children, you can never accumulate a negative karmic debt. You are never in the deficit for being on the defense, because when you're on the defense, you're in a position of right. Defense is always the position of right. That's why the best offense is a good defense. Because as long as you stand in the position of right, you hold what we call in nature the superior position of God.
Okay. So with that being said, what do you think is a good way to actually turn that, or is it necessary to try to change that perception of the duties of a male as far as the way it's perceived in society?
It's absolutely necessary because they are on a campaign to convert all their boys into little girls. You see it play out in the it's media, social media, in mainstream society. Everything is geared toward the promotion of homosexuality in same gender relationship. They don't want you to say nothing about that, but when you start talking about heterosexuals, now you being what they call discriminatory, you bigoted, you a hate monger. When you say that you want your son to grow up to be a man instead of a woman, you a hate monger. You be villainized for that. It's the same way they label an individual as anti-Semitic for calling the motherfucker spade a spade on who own the music industry, the movie industry, who controls the politics behind the scenes with the financial purse strings. When you start pointing them out, they're going to label you anti-Semitic to shut you the fuck up. Everybody's scared to be labeled anti-Semitic.
Yeah, they're good for doing that too. Like
Right. So when
like
they run up on a person like Dr. York, Dr. York dropping facts after facts after facts, he's standing in the position of right, telling the truth. They got to get rid of him. Guys like that, they don't want them in the system, infecting the minds of the good sheep with the rebellious spirit of a motherfucking sovereign individual.
Right.
Right. So they take those guys out of our community. They assassinated Clarence 13X and Malcolm X. Right. And all the time, the people behind the scenes pulling the strings look like us, but they got a different bloodline. They not us.
Right. That's powerful. I want y'all to like, subscribe, and share this video. The brother Rod Hayes is back. He's going in. Also, we got we're gonna drop the brothers Cash App, and just in case y'all want to show the brothers some love. And also, we still trying to get this school off the ground. We found an online platform. So anybody want to send donations based on the school for the Nuwaubian children, or all our children, for that matter. But of course, we will be teaching the Nuwapic, and the Holy Tablets is being placed inside of a syllabus so that you can study that. We're going to have, a vast amount of classes. But back to the brother Rod Hayes. So now here's another thing. This is not on topic with what you just said, but the sister was like, what is subconscious programming language? Like, what does that mean? I guess she must have ran into that terminology somewhere.
So the best way to describe it is when you understand how the mind processes information, you can throw a monkey wrench in the cog, right? When you understand how you process information, you can bypass the conscious mind and you can communicate directly with the subconscious. This is a form of hypnotic suggestion. Right. And you don't have to be, you can be walking around wide awake and receiving a hypnotic suggestion, but just by it being in your field of vision.
So is that by messages, pictures, and sounds, or just specifically through communication, or all of the above?
It's all forms of communication. Look, the people across the street inside their house with the doors and window closed. I'm inside the house with the doors and window closed. My subconscious hear every conversation on the block. I don't even know it though, consciously. For a certain distance around me, my subconscious picks up everything. And that's you too, everybody. And it's just that your subconscious is not storing it as retrievable instant memory, so you don't even know it's taking place because it's not in your intentional focus. Right? So when you get somebody to focus on one thing, that's how you slide a hypnotic suggestion in on the low. They never seen it coming.
Right. So
that's the programming of the subconscious mind.
Okay, so because I remember, in the Holy Tablets where it teaches us about psychic self-defense. So what way can we go to, or what route can we take to protect ourselves, to develop a strong sense of psychic self-defense from that particular type of programming? Because with the subconscious mind, it's like it's happening and you don't know it's happening.
Well, the smartest thing to do is to, for psychic self-defense purposes, is to tell yourself that you're going to program yourself. Self-talk is the most instrumental tool. That's why they tell you anybody talk to themselves is crazy. That's because they don't want you talking to yourself, because they know the value and the power that comes with positive reinforcement during self-talk.
Okay, so basically, we program ourselves by talking to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That's called auto suggestion or auto hypnosis. Anytime you have an internal dialogue and you focus on that internal dialogue, that's you self-hypnotize, and that makes it difficult for another person to hypnotize you.
You already done convinced yourself.
Right. Because the goal is to become your own individual God and manifest your best life on earth. That's what we are here for. In the process of that, there's no reward if there is no resistance. You can't create your best life without some resistance somewhere. As Ryan Holiday wrote in the Stoic philosophy, the obstacle is the way. If you can't grow without resistance.
So you said we need resistance.
Yeah, you have to have resistance in order to bring the best out of you, or else you become complacent and lazy. When you become complacent and lazy, you're not gonna make shit happen.
So let me ask you this then. Okay, you say self-talk is one of the best forms of psychic self-defense. So what other ways can we do that? Does that have to do with our diets, or is it just strictly based on self-talk?
Well, self-talk is just one tool in the toolbox. There's an infinite number of tools. You can learn sigils, right? You can learn sigils. Sigils become apps when you know how to use them for your own mental computer.
Okay.
There's also, you could use sympathies. Sympathies is this focus material to help you focus in on what you're trying to accomplish. Right? Those are the sympathies. So let's say, for instance, when I want to harness my mother energy, or I want to tune in on my mother, one of her things is Pepsi. I start drinking Pepsi and thinking about my mama, and I'm immediately connected back to her through my heart chakra. Once somebody connected in the heart chakra, they don't even need to be with you in the physical form to be with you.
And that's some powerful shit. So, all right, so let's go here. Now, what do people mean by God is information? Like, this has been something coined by various different people that they're likening information and God to being one and the same. Can you explain that? Because I even
that's Masonic terminology, and what that means is this: he who knows the most is God. The wisest man on, as tell your nation of Islam, tell you too, the wisest man on earth at any given time is God on earth.
That's right. That's correct.
Right. So this is what they're talking about.
So God is information. So the more one knows.
So the God mind has infinite access to infinite wisdom. Wisdom have no barriers or boundaries in which it can't be utilized. Wisdom is the only form of information. You can use it everywhere. You can't use knowledge everywhere. You can't use physics to the same degree in the kitchen as you can in the physics lab. Right? You use math, but it ain't physics.
Right. So let's say, for example, if we have, a measuring rod, how would we be able to measure that a person knows the most? Like, what is the measuring stick for that?
Test his knowledge with questions, like you're doing right now.
Probing.
Yeah. But see, there's a group of people already on the planet that reach high levels, and then they all test you. They come from all walks of life to test you when they walk of life.
So basically, by asking the questions and getting the factual answers or whatever answer or response that the person, this lets us know how knowledgeable that individual is. And that can be compared and contrasted with another person being, pretty much probed and asked questions to kind of see, who actually knows the most.
Okay, so look at it like this. You going for your master's degree. So now you got your master's. but you still need to write a master thesis to get your PhD. When you write a master thesis, then you sit in front of a group of professors and they all test you on questions based on your master thesis. Now, that's the what we call educational format of Western scholarship.
Right, because you got to do a dissertation. That's, you know, my mom got her, my Umi got her PhD. That's what she had to do, write a dissertation.
Right, it's called a master thesis. And the master thesis is what you being queried on or questioned on to determine if you really know this shit or you just winging it.
So that answers that as far as, you know, God being information. So break down information and knowledge. What would be the clearest difference between information and knowledge to you?
Gossip is information, but it carries no knowledge.
Gotcha. That was a good point.
So propaganda is information, but it's not about educating you, it's about controlling you.
Right. So now, how would we classify knowledge from information?
Knowledge is tangible, meaning that you can utilize knowledge to effectuate change somewhere. Information don't necessarily have to change anything.
Right.
But knowledge, it goes back to the chapter in the tablets about leadership. A plan that's workable anywhere should be workable everywhere. For a plan that's not truly workable everywhere, it's not truly workable anywhere. So if you're going to be a problem solver, you solve problems, you come up with the solutions, and then that shows that the knowledge is there.
Got you. Okay, so next question is, was the ancient Mayan civilization actually Atlantis?
Atlantis predated the Mayans. Atlantis was disassembled on purpose. And all of these other, what they call in modern terms, Tartarian system was set up of a global system. But Atlantis proper, which is actually the Crystal City, flew away. It went to Nibiru with Marduk, Enki's son Marduk, not Enlil's son Marduk. And they used that as the jumper craft to go secure Nibiru so that Enlil and his son Marduk was occupying Earth. They could never take over Nibiru and rule the whole thing because they could have changed the rules.
So if the Mayan civilization predate, if the Atlantis civilization predates the Mayans, how did the Mayan civilization come about, and what's making people now today pretty much stand on the platforms and try to coincide the two as if they're really one and the same?
Because it's what you call time dilation. When you look back in history, you can only go back so far with dates, and then dates fade out of existence. When the dates, right where the dates start to fade is the ending of the Mayan civilization. When they start to come around on the Mayan calendar is not clocking weeks, days, and months. It's a galactic star clock. It's clocking the position of the planet at the close of every age. It resets. It starts all over at the beginning, just like the computers did in the big Y2K fiasco that I told them that shit ain't gonna do nothing.
Okay. So with Atlantis, now people got this like real live, oh, it was a magical place. People was able to do all of these things. Is that literal or allegorical? Like, what was Atlantis like in reality?
Atlantis, the capital being the Crystal City, was made out of crystals. And these crystals interact with the human, right? So when you enter into one of the chambers, they got them still on Earth, some ancient chambers. You can enter into it. They'll call you by your first name as if you've been named that for eternity. And then they'll tell you what your original name was.
Right.
Reference that in the Cave of the Ancients by Rampa T. Lavsang.
Okay, so what was it, a place that people had like extraordinary, or I should say more specifically, supernatural capabilities? And if so, how did that go from that to where we are right now? Or
Well,
is that just something that's a rumor as far as the way Atlantis?
no, Atlanteans spoke with telepathy. They still got some frozen ice in Antarctica. Right? And they thawed one of them out and he made them all bow. So, and they didn't have no choice because his mental power was that strong. And so now they got this whole interdimensional connection with different systems in Antarctica now.
Okay.
Fucking with shit they ain't got no business fucking with. They fuck themselves.
Okay, so how long did Atlantis stay in existence?
You can't use modern years to calculate it because when Atlantis as a civilization was present, Earth was in a different orbit and it was a lot bigger. And it was no moon. Where we see the moon at night used to be Saturn.
Right.
That's when we was under the rule of the Lilith energy, the dark mother. The moon, which they use to symbolize in the Bible as Eve, was the replacement when the Earth orbit changed, but it's actually a battleship.
So would you estimate that it was thousands or millions of years of Atlantis?
Well, Atlantis civilization, the recorded human history that we know now,
Yeah.
It outstrips that because it was called the forever time back then. I'll put it like that.
Okay.
And they had different capabilities on the planet because the planet was different. Well, everything they could do, we can do it now, but we've been taught not to.
Can you give an example of everything that they could do? We could do.
One example is telepathy. We can communicate using telepathy, but the problem is we've been told that telepathy is impossible. Therefore, the realm of possibility has been stripped from telepathy. So nobody is trying to learn how to talk to each other without words. That's just one thing.
Is there a specific level of training that, let's say, for example, because I know with that, what we put in our bodies also matters as well in order to, tap into that type of frequency or vibration. But is there a way that we can undergo a specific type of training that would literally help us be able to apply that?
Yeah, but to explain developing telepathy in a comprehensive formula, it would take about a couple of hours to go through each step. But remember this, you ever come home and your mama tell you exactly where you was and ain't no way she should have knew?
My wife do that.
That's your telepathic connection. The women is the ones who still use it more than everybody else, especially with their children. This the love connection that makes it possible, not the mental thought. That's how you know if a woman really loves you, because she could communicate with your mama without ever meeting her. And you the relay station. And your mama can be in physical form or non-physical form. It really doesn't matter.
Now that's deep. That's powerful.
Yeah, that's why they said Freud came out with the Oedipus complex, because he say inherently every man marry his mama. That's not the case because he didn't tell it correctly. Every man married a woman that loved him unconditionally like his mother. It would be a more accurate description. If the love that your woman have doesn't match the love for your mama, she can't can't communicate through you with your mama. And the problem with that is you won't keep her long.
Oh, hold up. Say that one more time. I got to say that one more time because I need to catch that.
If the woman you with don't love you to the same unconditional level as your mother, she won't last long. Y'all won't have be in that relationship long at all. But soon as you find the one that your mother picked for you, because she picked her already. When you was born, she picked her, and she might not even been born yet. She just got to find her, right? And then once she find her, telepathically, she gonna tell you how to find her. So it'll look like you met her on your own. Man, I was walking through the mall, seeing this little old hot thing, man. I drove up on her, man. You got to meet her, dog. She is the coldest piece I ever seen in my life. And then the other dude looking at her say, she looked just average to me. No, dog, you ain't seen her. Right? All you is you describing that feeling when your mama pointed you to her, you acknowledged it.
That's
and
how it be too.
that's
like,
why you ever
like,
yeah, you ever see a dude with a chick that ain't all that hot, but he love her to death?
Yeah.
She love him the same as his mama, or else he wouldn't be with her. It don't matter what race she from. It don't matter what side of the track she come from, whether she rich or poor or in the middle. None of that shit don't matter. When that love connection is met, that motherfucker is met. And it don't matter what she look like.
You said it don't matter what she look like.
Nope.
So do you think that that's a big downfall with a lot of our relationships, especially what's more specifically in the Black community, that we try to choose the women, or even for the women choosing the men, like, for that matter, and it's not done in like a proper way that allows them to actually have progressive relationships?
Our biggest problem is don't nobody want to do no self-work. That's our biggest problem. Everybody wants somebody else to change, but they don't want to change nothing about their wicked ways. That's the problem. Right? So what I look like trying to be in a relationship with a woman, and I'm still doing the shit I did when I was 14 and I'm 50 years old. That don't make sense to me.
Tell me about it.
That's because the self-work is required to make yourself what you call a presentable product. A mother will turn your mitochondrial off and you think you got cancer, AIDS, or any of that shit. You just shrivel up and die if you won't get right. Especially if you're a golden child.
That's deep. That's deep as hell. So what is the city of God? What specific geographical location do we pinpoint and say, hey, this is the city of God, and why?
It's in the Great Pyramid of Tijuana in Mexico is the real city of God. That's because it's the home of Tahuti. Tahuti is the one who designed this whole construct before it was hijacked by his relatives.
Okay. Can you explain that a little bit deeper?
Yeah. So when Tahuti created this construct, it was supposed to be perpetual paradise. Right? So imagine you got your son, he's 8 years old, a video game. Right? And then all your brothers in their 20s and 30s and shit see him playing the game, say, hey man, let me play that game. And then they take over his game and now he got an attitude. So he unplugged the fucking game. Fuck you, motherfuckers. This is my game, man. I can't play it. Ain't none of y'all playing it. So they hijacked the game like that. So now it's time to unplug the game and reset that motherfucker.
Okay. So who are Tahuti's relatives?
The first family of Tahuti. Tahuti is the son of Inanna, or Isis, Queen of Heaven and Earth. He was born through parthenogenesis.
Right. That's in the Holy Tablets.
Right. And that was to spite Enlil, because Enlil believed the Y chromosome was superior to the X chromosome. And that's what caused the war in heaven, because she told that motherfucker, if you can do this, motherfucker, raise your motherfucking gown, pap your gird, and squat out and produce one of these motherfuckers. And he told her that you can only produce females. You can't produce a male without a Y chromosome. And so she went back and made a male, and they labeled him Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth mean a malformed god, meaning a god that was didn't do his self-work. So when it came time to ascend, it caused him to contort. Meaning his chakras was blocked. So it looked like he got the palsy. He's a Yaldabaoth.
Okay.
But that wasn't the case with Tahuti proper, because they just didn't want him to ever challenge for the God's seat of heaven and earth, which we'll put it in video game terms because it's like a big ass holographic video game. But in Donkey Kong, when you get the princess, then the motherfucker come out and take the princess and you go to the next level.
Uh-huh.
Then you finally get to the end of the game. This is where we at now. We at the end of the game. So now we about to slay the dragon, whether it's Mario Brothers or Donkey Kong, it don't matter. We about to slay the dragon and rescue the princess, so to speak. That's how the game is laid out. It's the format of the game.
Okay, so can we get a little bit more history on Tahuti? Because we do know the Greeks call him Thoth, which also brings the word thought into existence.
Right, because remember, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and walked amongst men.
Right. So
and
what does that literally mean? What is that literally saying, your words?
Thought. Because it's a wisdom saying, a maxim that says thought is the cause of it all.
Okay.
And thought is Thoth, and Thoth is Tahuti or Jehuti, depending on which language you're in.
Okay. So that when you say that the word walked amongst us, that's definitely not a physical thing. That's more of a mental thing. Or are you saying that those thoughts and words became actions?
Okay, this is where that comes from. The creator of the written language was Tahuti.
Okay.
He's also the creator of the spoken language. Remember, we used to be telepathic. We didn't have words.
Right.
Right. So when he wrote the written language, that was the origin of the word. He is responsible for the word, and Thoth is thought.
Okay. That makes all the sense in the world. I hear you. So now let's talk about a little bit more about the Egyptian deities for a split second. And we want to try to get you to explain the differences and similarities of the Egyptian deities and the Sumerian deities.
Some of them are the same people with different names.
Absolutely.
Set in Egypt is Enlil. Osiris in Egypt is Enki. Heru is Nenegazita. Isis or Aset is Inanna. Those are titles, though. Those are not names.
Right. Are those titles of like positions or rank or
positions?
Okay.
So the one that they call the Lord of the Sky, that's Enlil.
Right.
The Lord of the Earth is Enki.
Right.
And the Queen of Heaven and Earth is Inanna or Isis.
Right.
Right. So those are descriptive names or titles that tell you the positions of the ranks.
What does the numbers represent? Because I know in studying the Sumerian deities, they've all been assigned an actual number.
For frequency. It's a dial-in frequency. For the so when you're looking at a field, a grid in sites, the grid has to be numbered. It's the same with the ranking system in the Sumerian pantheon. They got numbers.
And okay, so that frequency does what for us as the organic people? How does that benefit, or not so much benefit, but how does that relate to us more so?
Remember we were talking about magic, right?
Right.
So whichever the number that you operating under is the controller of your power. The more you know about the controller of your power, the more of your power you take back.
Does that correlate with the sorcery and alchemy?
Yep, and numerology as well as gematria.
Say that again.
As well as numerology and gematria. It's all synced.
So let me ask you this. With the organic people of the land, right? Are we able to now tap into a frequency that allows us to communicate with the deities and be able to raise our vibration and frequency and, pretty much have a more progressive existence in doing so?
So you're familiar with the works of Aleister Crowley, right?
Absolutely. He was a
So
weirdo.
when he talks about, he was a genius. You know when he talk about the holy guardian angel?
Yes.
That's your higher conscious self that's communicating with your 3D avatar form using telepathy. So when you're doing the self-talk, this is why you always send your higher self to verify information, but you first have to calibrate by purifying the ego, which takes us back to the self-work part. And the self-work, the most difficult part of it is called shadow work, meaning that all of the shit you judge the world by, make sure you're not doing that same shit.
Yeah, that part. Because we definitely have we definitely have a lot of that as far as like just in the world period, like where people will judge you a certain kind of way, but they got the same basically fucked up qualities.
Yeah, so you got a motherfucker that's out there raping babies, calling somebody a pedophile, they never touched one. The reason why is misdirection. As long as they can get you to look at somebody else, you won't look at them. That's why all them preachers is preaching. Half of the motherfuckers so goddamn dirty, the only way they can cover it up is to stand behind the pulpit and try to act righteous. They go for the imams and rabbis too.
Just a quick clarification. This is our subject to make sure I put this in right. Your Cash App is SIK8. Is it spelled with the K or C?
No C. It's SIKAPE. The S and the A are capital.
Okay, so let me redo that because I did do that. So give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm. And you know, all Cash Apps start with a $sign.
Right, I did that part. I gotta remove that and put the right one.
Yeah,
all
so
right.
$, capital S, IK, capital APE.
All right, so how do we get in tune with the higher frequency? And what will we be shown or given as a sign that we are actually there? Like, will it be in our actions that you can tell? Will it be in our thought processes and our actions? Or will it be something that only the individual themselves will just know by, the emotions of it all resonating with them?
Remember the maximum man know thyself, right?
Right.
When you know yourself, you won't ask those questions. They will all be answered already. You're not tuning in to no deities outside of yourself until you're in tune with the deity inner self first. The inner God is the first God you have to so-called conquer or assimilate.
Okay. So let's talk about the 24 elders. Can you give us a brief synopsis of what that represents? Is that does that represent energies, actual beings, or both? Or how should we actually interpret the 24 elders?
They both energies and they are also people. So those people that represent the 24 elders, we call them archangels. They say it's only 7, but that's not true. 24 of them are assigned to Earth. And they are all, it's 2 of them to a zodiac sign under the modern zodiac. Right? So that's why all of the zodiac signs straddle a month. They're not like November is not strictly Scorpio. By close to the 20-something of November, you're gonna go into Sagittarius.
Okay.
That's the overlay. So you got 2 powers at play in one zodiac. And that's an as above, so below thing. So it's 12 on the ground and then there's 12 in the ethers. The ones in the ethers can switch places with the ones on the ground, or they can become one.
So can you explain a little bit more about the zodiac and how
The
that relates?
zodiac, okay, so the zodiac is the great wheel. It's the wheel of life, or the great seasons of cycles. It's 24,000 years and some hundreds in the galactic clock. So you follow the Mayan calendar. At the close of every age is named after a zodiac sign. But on Earth, your zodiac sign is once a year. But in the big clock, the great wheel, that's a 6,000 some odd year cycle. Right? So these zodiacs is the zoo type that represent the star system that the energy comes from. So we are walking neutron stars in a human form, energy-wise. It takes a massive amount of energy to run the human body, more than we could possibly imagine. And we are constantly cycling and recycling energy, taking in new energy and expelling old energy. It's an energy transfer in the body at all times until the body stops functioning as a living organism. Then decay sets in, and then the molecules reorient to the source from which they came.
Okay. So when people say that there are various different zodiacal, I guess, calendars, like I know you have the Chinese, you have the Egyptian, you have the ones based on the European zodiac information. Which one should we actually embrace and why?
You should use all of them because the unified field theory is applicable to all forms of knowledge. The ones who study the stars and study the earth, geology and astrology, are the ones most capable to navigate between the two. You use all of those systems because they're going to all teach you something that the other one didn't.
Okay. So I just fixed the Cash App thing for you. I need y'all to like, subscribe, and share this live. The brother Rod Hayes is going in. We have the sister Jazzy, who is the coordinator for the Imperial Order family. If y'all would like to join the Nuwapic classes, the Nuwapu classes, and the spiritual training classes, y'all can message me on Facebook Messenger. My name is placed inside of the live chat, so y'all can pretty much sign up for the classes. Also, we about to start doing sisterhood training and brotherhood training classes. So all y'all got to do is just reach out to me on Facebook and let me know y'all serious, and we can put y'all in the classes. So another question came up was, how does the Anunnaki tie into Atlantis?
Well, when they was coming, we decided to close Atlantis. But they did come before Atlantis was closed. That's when the invasion happened.
Which evasion?
Okay.
Invasion, rather.
When we were in Atlantis, the first set of Anunnaki that came to Earth was named Iliu. He was the first one. He came to Earth because he got exiled to the furthest reaches of space from Nibiru, and they wasn't in the elliptical orbit around our sun at that point. They was free flowing through space without an orbit. They adopted this orbit because of the access to the mineral wealth of the Earth that could sustain the life of the people on their planet.
Okay. So what do we look forward to now, like in this day and time, like as far as, building ourselves up as a community, getting everybody in line with the unity? What steps do we take for that? Because I've been talking to the sisters and brothers of the Imperial Order, which is our group, our community, and it seemed like, from our perspective, there's a lot of talk about, we should come together and we need to build a strong community, need unity. The sisters need to be put in their proper positions. The males supposed to play their role, but I'm not saying that it's not happening. I'm just saying that from a visual perspective, we don't really see the people that's actually doing said work. How do we relate to that? Like, where are we at with that?
Everybody got to start reorganizing their families and rebuilding the structure of the family. But people is not taking it serious right now. So most of the people who are going to end up being caught off guard with shock and awe, sudden revelation of great astronomical events being seen in the open, and they're not prepared for it because they're not listening, because they're too stuck in their religious doctrines and they hate doctrines. The hate doctrines was all written for the specific purpose of dividing the strength of humanity. It goes back to the Tower of Babel doctrine. So right now, what we need to be doing, like right now, I'm just telling the grassroots, this shit coming. You can run, you can duck, but you showing the fuck can't hide. Everything gonna be put out in the open. Those who have the sensibility to form communities is gonna be ahead of the curve. The rest of them is gonna be scrambling for communities to join, and most people not gonna let them in because they ain't got the opportunity to test them. So they're gonna be on the land as nomads, solitary nomads. They're not gonna have a place to be. And anybody that don't have a place to be, they're gonna be in a world of trouble that can be detrimental to their existence. The sisters are already making connections. The energetics is telling them you need to move to this place or that place. That's the call of the matriarch telling them where they need to be. But for the individuals, I mean, right now we passed the wake a motherfucker up portion. Whoever ain't woke down ain't gonna get woke. They're gonna get rocked all the way to sleep. You there?
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah. You was some kind of way got muted.
I was saying, how do you
Did you hear the recording stop?
Yeah, the sister was telling me that the YouTube part stopped. Are you still in the room with Brother Rod Hayes because everything stopped on her end? I'm telling her to log back in because it's still going.
Yeah, hey, I logged back in. It says live still on my phone, but it doesn't say live on YouTube right now. So I'm not sure.
The app just said the recording stop.
Yeah, because I was recording on Zoom and the live, so I was doing both.
Mm-hmm. Well, in order for the YouTube
is still going. because I'm looking at the live chat. That's why I couldn't answer the phone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want, I think it's still going, but if you want, you can go ahead and oh no, it is. I can hear you. Okay, so one of the people in the live chat says, "How do you bring a family back together when the big mama is gone?"
When Big Mama leaves, she leaves a successor. She can't leave without leaving somebody to be the Big Mama. The problem is most of us don't like who she picked because they don't like nobody telling them the raw, uncut truth, and that's what Big Mama gonna do. She gonna tell you to get your stinking ass up and go get in the shower. Your feet stink, nigga. Right? And they not gonna like that. But Big Mama gonna talk to them like that because that's who she is. That's how she moves. She don't sugarcoat shit just to make you comfortable. She tell it to you in the harshest way so you'll know that you don't want her to tell you next time.
So for the people who don't know, I know a lot of people listen to your lives, but for the people who don't know, can you actually explain who and what Big Mama actually is and why we call her Big Mama?
Okay, so if you go to Egypt and you look in the Parthenon of Isis or the Temple of Isis in Dendora, you see this star zodiac in the ceiling. As you zoom in to the center, you're going to see what's known as Tawaret. She is the zootype of a hippopotamus, and she got in one hand, she got a big ass meat cleaver. All right. The energy that comes from the center of the universe is her energy. Right. As prime creator, we call her Big Mama because when we have a Big Mama on Earth, she represents that energy. She behaves according to the energy that the universe operates from. She don't behave on what our hopes, wishes, and desires is. She's true to self and true to nature. So the prime creator is Big Mama. And we call our representatives or the head of the families in the matriarchy Big Mama. And then all of the Big Mamas get together and they form a council of elders. And they become the lawmakers. So they collectively harness more Big Mama energy or prime creator energy than anybody else because they are tuned in from their life lessons to the frequency. So they can, it's like your ancestors. Your ancestors talk to you through children and elders. They don't talk to you through somebody living in the humdrum of life because they can't hear them. So when we say Big Mama and Big Mama energy, we're talking prime creator and prime creative energies.
So with that being said, I remember I asked you this question prior in another live, to be able to distinguish the difference between the concept of Big Mama and the concept of non-ether. Can you just give just a brief explanation of that for the listeners?
So we call prime creator Big Mama. Non-ether is the energy she used to create dark matter, which is pure Big Mama energy. So when we talking non-ether, this is what we're talking about. The highest expression of all creative forces rolled into one, non-ether. And it's reflected on the earth by the lowest frequency to maintain the holographic matrix of 6-ether.
So we always been taught that you have 9-ether, 6-ether, and 3-ether, right? And relative to the physical, 9-ether beings was considered dark-skinned woolly-haired people or the black or brown race. And the 6-ether and the 3-ether represented the pale and albino races. How true is that in relation to the knowledge that you know about 9-ether, 6-ether, and 3-ether?
I'm not familiar with the 3-ether. I know that the 6-ether, as Pops explained it, Sixth ether in death becomes ghost, right? And ghost is going back to prime source, the back way, the bottom way. Whereas nine ether is going to source out the top. That's why they got us disoriented. South is up, north is down, but they told us it's the other way around.
Right. Now, I made a PowerPoint a while back about that. And I made a video about 2 years ago about it, breaking it down from a thermodynamic perspective. I'm showing everybody the thermodynamic process of nine ether going from 9 to 6 and 6 to 3, 3 back to 6 and 6 back to 9. So I follow you.
Mm-hmm. So the paradigm of 369 is predicated upon a three-sided pyramid. And the three-sided pyramid, it's the pyramid means fire in the middle. So the three-sided pyramid becomes the agency by which you harness the what they call the creative fires or the creative energies, which is again dark matter, unseen energy, and you're able to utilize it to effectuate all type of alchemical processes in varying different things. So you take a dull razor blade and you set it under a small pyramid, and next thing you know, it's sharp for no reason.
That's interesting. So when we talk about numerology numbers, right? We see that there was a video that I watched on Nikola Tesla, and he was breaking down certain numbers that had basically various influences on the universe, and he used 369. What are the relevance to those three numbers as it relates to the universe?
The 369 is the creative potentialities. It starts with the three. Remember, two or more gathered together in my name, there I am also. If two gathered together and I am there also, it'd be number three.
Right.
Right. So now, if you're building a pyramid with three sides, you got I am there also three times with the three, then the six, then the nine. So now you got triple creative potentialities converging at the center of the pyramid, which generates the fire in the middle.
Okay. That's pretty much what the video was explaining, but they just went a little bit more in depth, and they was just showing like when you add these numbers from the top to the bottom, it all comes back to 9, and pretty much the narrative was that 9 was the highest number in mathematics.
It is. In Egypt, they don't count from 1 to 9. They count from 9 to 1. But over here, they actually count from 10 to 1. 10 being the highest expression of alpha, beta, and omega, the unity of the beginning and the ending. It's represented by the serpent with the tail in his mouth.
Okay. So let's go here with it then. All right, so when you start talking about the origin, structure, and evolution of the universe, they always name a prime mover. Would that prime mover be Big Mama?
That's Big Mama energy.
Okay. And
it's called, in modern science, it's called prima mater. If you look at the word prima mater, it really translates from Latin to English as the prime mother.
Right, because matter does mean mother in etymology.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they actually trying to convey by using the terminology prime mother? I mean, not prime mother, I'm sorry. Prime mover.
They just trying to talk over your head with double talk, because we know that the prime mover is the prime mother.
Right.
So if the source don't say it, it don't move.
Okay. So if we look at the fact that the sisters are supposed to be in the position of actually like ruling and building the council, but when we look in history, men have pretty much overthrown them in what way, when the matriarchal society rises like completely, can we make sure, or is there a way that we can make sure that that doesn't happen?
Well, the only reason why it happened because of what Bobby Hemming liked to call the great debauchery, when they created some synthetic humans that were sentient. And that violated galactic law because they had no right of ascension.
Okay. What does right of ascension represent?
Your ability to traverse higher realms of consciousness. What used to happen with them is they would have a neurological shutdown whenever the sacred secretion began to rise. It caused strokes, and it caused them to end up like Stephen Hawkins. If their thoughts get too powerful, their body starts to suffer because they are genetically engineered to die before they ever reach God's status.
Okay. So explain right of ascension.
The right of ascension is one of the earth rights, right? And the women have always been in charge of the earth rights. And it's your right to be unrestricted in your spiritual development in the free will universe. It's a right, it's not a privilege. So when you deprive somebody of the right to ascend and they sentient, then you acting as what we would call in modern terminologies as devil.
Okay. That's deep, because now it's almost like saying that everything has its proper place and position. And when you're moving contrary to that, for one, it's going to disrupt the harmony of it all, but it's also going to actually put you in a certain level, or put you on a certain level, I should say, that gives you pretty much a bad disposition.
Right. So when we talk about earth rights, right, that's the right to do what's necessary for the maintenance of the land, the air, and the water, which we call the Great Law. And that right falls to the women first because Earth is a feminine planet. Had we been on Mars, patriarchy would have been the order. We're not on Mars, we on Earth.
Okay. So would you say that that's coming more sooner than later as far as this re-erection of the matriarchal society, or we still have a long way to go?
It's happening in real time. Most people not even seeing it because they're too caught up in the humdrum of go to work, send the kids to school, come home, cook dinner, and go to bed. They can't see shit. Their life is going by in a blur. They doing the same thing today that they was doing on this day 10 years ago.
Okay.
That's why they teach you to follow habits, so that you won't be able to innovate on anything new because you fall into that into a cycle, and that cycle is what locks you into the slavery. It's all systematically designed that way.
So what qualities do we need to look for in the system to notice that they have what it takes to be in that position? Because I'm pretty sure that everyone may not, fit the criteria.
Most loved, most respected is the standard. The sister that's most loved and respected by the most women around the world is the highest ranked woman on the planet.
I remember you said you referred to Farrakhan's wife, who presently holds those qualities.
Yeah, she is the most loved, most respected out of all of the women leaders she met around the world. They all loved her and respected her more than they did each other.
Do you think that that's due to Farrakhan being Farrakhan, or her blazing her own path?
That's like saying what came first, the chicken or the egg. They can't listen. When they went to Claire got to get a juice to at that time her name was Betsy Ross.
Right.
She got to give her the juice. The only way she gonna give her the juice is if she give her the righteous name. The righteous name is Khadijah. Her name is not Khadijah Farrakhan, it's Khadijah Muhammad.
Right.
Farrakhan name is Farrakhan Muhammad. Right? But we tend to call her Khadijah Farrakhan and call him Louis Farrakhan. That's because we don't know who they is.
Okay.
In Egypt, Farrakhan was known as the Pharaoh A', who was the interim leader when King Tut was assassinated.
Okay. So back to Egypt, this is another question I've been asked for you to expound on. Why did the Egyptians put different animals' heads to represent different gods and goddesses? Like, what does those animals have in common with those energies of those deities?
Every tribe have a totem animal that represents their clan. So let's say over here, you see a totem pole, you see mostly animals on it. Those are the totem animal of each tribe that's on that pole. That's who's in this area. The totem animal just tells you whose turn it is to rule.
Okay. So the Egyptians used a plethora of different animals. They use frogs, they use
All
lions.
of those clans have ruled already. It's only one left. The last one to rise to power, you don't see him in the hieroglyphics. And that's the gorilla.
Who is that?
The gorilla.
Okay, and why is that?
Because it's time to rule hadn't came yet. It just now got here.
So what intellectually speaking was it that created that representation for the deities?
The Zootite?
The who?
What do you mean, what do you mean by representation of the deities?
Okay, so the goddess Sekhmet had a lion head or a lioness head. Mm-hmm. Why did they associate the lion with her, but they associated the ibis bird with Thoth or Tehuti? So
the lioness, you study the lion and you understand why she's represented as the lioness. The Sekhmet position is the next one of the Sibyls in line to become the queen of heaven and earth.
Okay.
Right? So she'll be Sekhmet until the rule of the former Osset has been exhausted or depleted. And then the Sekhmet is the next in line. So it's a priesthood under Sekhmet. It's a priesthood under Bast. Bast fall under Sekhmet. Bast is represented by the Black Panther, a cat, and also the house cats, which is the familiars of those who come from the house of the feline. Feline means feminine line, meaning the mother line of rulership on earth. Tehuti having the ibis head is because the way that the bird, when he's looking for his food, it appears to be studying. So the bird, the Benu bird that studies, became synonymous with the man who studied out of the bird clans, right? And there's all kind of bird clans: hawks, falcons, eagles, condors, vultures. They all have a different expression, but they all fall under Tehuti as the feathered serpents.
So what should the brothers be doing right now? Us as the men, what should we be doing right now?
Everybody got to do what they feel in their heart they're driven to do. For somebody to tell you what you should be doing, that means that you don't know who you are yet.
Right.
So the first order of business is to study the self. Find out who you are. Look for yourself in everything you read and write.
Okay. So the reason why, well, I'm guessing this now. One of the brothers asked that is maybe because there may be some specific things. Of course, we know, the shadow work has to be done, but maybe some other things that they, I guess, hadn't yet come to the realization that, the brothers should actually be doing to put themselves in a better position.
Well, a couple of things you should be doing: clean your filters, your liver, kidneys, your lymphatic system. They got herbs that do all of that stuff. Any excuse me. Anybody that work in most health food stores, when you ask them what clean the liver, they're gonna say burdock root, dandelion leaf, milk thistle are the best, right? And that's the beginning. Then you need a heavy metal cleanse because the soft metals, aluminum, iron, and whatnot, they contaminate the system and they causes a misfiring in the nerves. A buildup of metals in the brain can give you a stroke.
So, are there any specific natural herbs that you could give the brothers and sisters that that may actually help to do all these things?
Well, I just told you, burdock root, milk thistle, and dandelion cleans the liver. Then you can use what's his name of this? Green algae and cilantro to get the heavy metals out. One of them is a flush. I mean, they get it all up. And the other one is a binder in order to excrete it. It's so many supplements. I got a herbalist, Doc Pitt, on Facebook. I refer all the people that ask me so he can give them something based on having a conversation with them that's geared more specifically to what their current issue is. We also need to learn how to take spiritual baths, which is a constant spiritual cleansing process. Baptism was not a once in a lifetime or once a year thing. It was a daily ritual of bathing, right? Anointing and baptism is two different things.
Okay. So one of the questions in the chat says, is sitting in silence for an hour a day good for shadow work?
Can you read that again?
Is sitting with yourself in silence 1 hour a day good for shadow work?
That's part of it. But while you sitting in solitude, you have to look at the stuff you don't like in other people and make sure that's not part of who you are. Because those are things we normally condemn in other people first. The things that we do that we don't like in ourselves, we'll see them easier in another person.
Right. So I don't know whose name this is, but uric acid cleanse. At first it says an uric acid cleanse can help clear up kidneys and urinary tracts.
I'm not familiar with the boric acid cleanse, so I don't want to speak.
Uric, not boric, uric.
Spell it.
Uric acid, I thought was in urine.
It is. It is. Well, they do have people who drink their own urine for health purposes. I'm not one of them, but they do have people that do that. And that is an ancient practice.
Okay, so as far as like with the children, right? The best way to get the children, because I know a lot of the sisters and brothers do have children. I even know a lot of single dads is literally taking care of their child by themselves without even the mother in some cases. But what way should we be dialoguing with the children? What way can we actually prepare the children for the upcoming events and how things are happening for us?
The children need to prepare the adults. They ready. We ain't.
Explain that.
They born ready. They born these children that's being born now ain't like we was. They are being born with a higher sense of self than any of us had born before 2000. All these babies born after 2000 is on another level. And if you pay attention when you're looking at TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, the most comprehensive or the most easily to comprehend information is coming from the youth. I got young brothers listening to me, and then they go back and explain it to their peers and they understand it perfectly fine. But you got adults talking about that nigga crazy. Right? Because the adults can't grasp those new concepts as well as the youth.
Yeah, it's like I see how youth help us so much because they're born in this technological scientific day and age, and it's like they're like super advanced.
Yeah, well, you look at the average 1 or 2 year old know how to work your tablet. They know how to work your phone probably better than you.
Yeah.
Right. So they already born adapted to the environment that we created before they came. The goal is to start moving to an environment with the children in mind. That's matriarchy. The patriarchy don't have the children in mind first. And the patriarchy, the man is the sole focal point.
Okay, so moving with the children in mind. That means what exactly?
All of the social constructs that we fought against for the last couple hundred years, the children should not have to fight those social constructs. We as adults now, we the elders now, so it's our job to initiate the changing in the construct so that the children can have the best possible future before them. And then we raise the children by showing them what we're doing to give them their best life in the future. Right? Because the children of the future, the adults already had their horizon, son. Especially when you get 30, 40 years old, whatever you ain't done and accomplished by then, if you better get on the ball, you can get left behind.
That's absolutely correct. So financially speaking, you were saying before that basically all these banks and stuff are going to collapse. And so, people are still chasing the almighty dollar. What are we supposed to be doing in relation to the financial aspect? Because it takes finances to be able to feed your family, to take care of our women, our children, etc.
Okay, so first thing is, if the banks collapse, what's going to happen to the money?
Okay, the money is going to be no good.
The wealth's still going to be here, but the money going to be gone. So we need restructure to be recipients of the wealth that the banks can no longer process. So we have to learn family banking. And
what does family banking?
Excuse me?
What does family banking tell?
That's how to run your own bank. So you becoming like the big mom in your family is going to be the CEO of the family bank. And this is going to lead to what we call the eldest female that's most loved and respected by the entire family is the big mama. And it's her job to go and assess the skill sets of the people in the family to find out who's financially literate. Because we can't compete with centralized banking when all of the centralized banks is in the hand of less than 1% of the population of the planet. We always at their mercy. The only way to combat that or to counter that is to go to family banks and decentralize banking, to do away with fractional reserve banking that is ran off debt. By keeping you in debt, they're keeping you in slavery because debt equals slavery. So the family banking is everybody learning how to handle wealth and how to distribute it among the family according to their merit.
So what will wealth look like in a society or an environment like that?
It's gonna look like everybody rich.
He says, "Good look, buddy." Okay, so we have another question here. Um, do you think that we will ever get to the point to where we can? I think you already touched on that, where we can communicate without actually using the spoken word.
We already can. We already touched.
Yeah, that's what I said when I read that. Another thing is, will babies be? Will there be a need to actually have our children born in hospitals, or what we get, the home births?
We're doing away with hospitals and we re-establishing what was called doula centers. The place of hospitality was where you went and you was normally met by these women. They call them nuns now. They was actually part of a priesthood, a birth priestesses called the Sa priestesses. In Greece, they was called the Gorgons, but they were in charge of the practice of medicine in the community. So now we're going back to doula centers and we're going back to more homeopathic-based treatments for ailments, but illness is not going to last but another probably 50 years.
Why you say that?
Because the technology we have that's been held back from us can cure 99.9% of all known ailments to men, including aging. Aging is a disease that was artificially thrust upon us.
Okay, so this series says, how do you avoid reincarnation? Is it about not going to the white light?
Look, you don't have to be here. When you leave out this body, you don't have to come back. Don't believe that bullshit about you don't have to come. We came back because we soldiers to fight this shit, to overthrow it and to reestablish peace and harmony on earth and to restore a global paradise. You can't have that if you can't come if you don't want to be here. We get here and we forget that we chose to come here to fight this shit. Then we go through a state of apathy. The apathy that we go through facilitates depression and suicide. That's because nobody told us this shit was going to be this hard. But soon as we start telling the children, when you get to the hard part of life and you feel like giving up, that's when the good part starts.
Okay,
get it out of our mind that hard shit that you bail every time shit get hard. That's irrational. If you don't go through no difficulty, you can't develop. It's not possible.
The brother Tawabala, Rahubat, Ashugalakum, he basically is like, everybody talk about doing shadow work, but nobody ever explains how it's done.
I've been explaining it the whole video.
I know, but I don't know, like.
Okay, so let's go about it this way. Shadow, right? It's a reflection of the true self. We call it the lower self. The lower self is driven by what's called base desire, right? Most of us, when we looking at our lower self, we don't see the stuff that we don't like that we see other people do. When we doing it, we don't see it. Shadow work is confronting, I don't like the way he wears pants. Well, shit, I wear mine the same way. Well, let me change the way I wear my pants, so therefore judge not that ye may not be judged, but by the same measure by which you judge, by that measure also shall you be judged. In other words, everything that you accusing somebody else of, you have to make sure you're not doing the same shit.
Okay, that's real simple. So basically, I'm gonna because I know the brother that asked that question. That's one of the brothers in our class. Basically, what he's saying is all of the things that you know that are negative in action, be it thought, word, or deed, or that you may have a problem if someone else do it, you have to check yourself to make sure you're not doing it.
Right. That shadow
Basically.
works to the ninth power right there.
So, because if you're doing it and you criticizing someone else for doing it, we have a word in Arabic for that. We call it munafikun. In English, that means you're a hypocrite.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's pretty much understood. It's almost like doing what you know will better yourself before you try to point the finger and condemn others for the things that you feel like are not the better part of their self.
Yeah. Cause if I'm a burglar, right, I don't have no position of right to condemn the stick up man. I'm the burglar. I can't condemn the stick up man. That's why they say don't knock another man hustle. Because
Right.
you're gonna have your own hustle, and it might not be what you call a savory hustle to the masses. Like you got some people that if you was a drug dealer, you couldn't even come in their house while you was dealing. As long as they know you dealing drugs, you can't come to their house no more.
Right.
But they'll turn around and let the pedophile in.
Yeah, that's sick.
Right. So
it's like you're picking and choosing.
Right. So they rather have a pedophile in their house than a drug dealer. Because the system told them the worst thing you can be in this society is a drug dealer. But drug dealing has got us out of a whole lot of poverty. And poverty is the driver of criminal activity.
Yes, it sure is.
The more impoverished the person is, the more likely he is to run up in the rich man's house.
Yeah. And people always say the crabs in the bucket type thing, but really the crabs don't try to get out of the bucket and start stepping on people until the water get hot.
Well, one thing about crabs in the bucket, they don't belong there to begin with. So they already outside their element, and they don't know what the fuck element they in, so they don't even know that they can all pile up together on one side of the bucket and get each other out. We ain't crabs.
So science and technology, will there ever be a day where we're actually the visible controlling entities of science and technology, using it to better ourselves and our people?
All of that's coming with the turnaround. Remember, I told you it's all kind of technology and shit they've been holding back from us for years. The med bed is based on an ancient healing technique with using cymatics, which is sound, crystals, and frequencies.
Okay.
So the technology is ancient. They just don't want you to have it. Because if you had it, then you would be living long enough to see what the fuck they doing. They don't want that.
Okay.
That's why so many of us die young. Because the ones that die young is the ones they don't want figuring out the problem.
Okay, so Brother May wants you to say something about Nasara. What is Nasara?
I don't mess with none of the financial shit right now because I don't trust nothing financial to stand until it's over with. And only thing I tell you financial is study family banking. That's it. Because every family gonna be responsible for their own wealth, for maintaining it and continuously building it. That's gonna be their own responsibility. As far as Nasara and Jasera, you got the Saint Germain Trust, you got the SESQE Trust. All these trusts is our money that they've been holding back from us to keep us working for them. I don't know how it's going to roll out, right? So I can't really go into detail on it like I would like to, because that's not I know that the money is the driving force behind a lot of us not being able to move into our own. Never knowing that if you live in your highest potential, it's going to produce economics for you, no matter what the conditions around you are.
That's correct. That's correct. So for Sister Clarice Claudette, Pete says, she asks, how can you remove spells placed on souls for religious domination? The book that I'm actually giving away for $10 donations is called The Four Noble Facts. Inside of that book, it teaches the practical application of breaking those spells. That is exactly what it's about. and I pretty much put that in the comments, the live chat, along with the Cash App, and you will also get a free book with that $10 donation called The Fivefold Noble Path, and that's the actual methodology that we use to develop psychic self-defense. So you can reach out to us either through Facebook Messenger or leave your information inside of the chat, and I'll pretty much contact you on that. Then we have someone says, basically they want the what is the white light or white light under the tunnel?
That's the delivery room.
You said a delivery room, the white light under the
If you laugh, I'm dead serious. That's the delivery room. When you coming back,
okay,
between here and there is no time. Between this life and your next life, there's no such thing as time. It's instant. So when you depart in this, when you're moving into the next, when you see the bright light, that's the delivery room. The light's supposed to be ambient. It's not supposed to be bright. You're
right.
seeing the delivery room of where you're going to be born at when you come back. That's what that white light is.
Okay. Okay. Willow says, ask Rob what he meant when he told me earlier Haiti needs to shift energy to call back the sweet water and who is barbecue. What?
Barbecue is leading the rebellion in Haiti right now. He is the reincarnation of John Dessalines, who set off the Haitian Revolution under Toussaint in the Bookman. There was two priestesses, a priest, and what you call a judge. Bookman was the judge. He had to receive the complaint or the grievance from Toussaint. Toussaint then had to get the permission from two priestesses. One of the priestesses, she would self-sacrifice her life and shed her own blood for the success. And then you had the soldier, that's what you call the initiator of the action of the revolution, which was John Dessalines. So all five of them became important for the Haitians to be successful in the conjuring of the revolutionary defenses, which called the Obey to take physical form and fight with them on the battlefield. Now we at the close of the age, all major conjures must be closed. The priestess who came back several times to close the conjure was interrupted by nefarious people in positions of priest, because they didn't want that conjure closed, because as long as that conjure closed, they can backdoor steal, or they can levy or put a lien on the wealth of Haiti, and Haiti can't experience their own wealth. The Sweetwater ceremony comes on the heel of Bookman saying that this matter is adjourned, it's closed, right? And once he closed the matter, Haiti has to call for the return of the Sweetwater in a public ceremonial manner, in which it's a trigger the priestesses to do the Oshun ritual in Florida, and then they get a state welcome with Toussaint and the Bookman. They all have to go to Haiti in order for they feet got to touch the ground in Haiti, and then everything is done. The problem that we having is we got to get the message to barbecue to call the Sweetwater, and then there's a priestess in Haiti. I can't never say her name. It's Baleo Ayayelo or something, but she is the one who gave us all of the keys to unlocking the conjure in Haiti. And then it's a sister in New Orleans that told us that until Oshun is properly recognized, ain't nothing moving. So they get to honor with the return to Haiti. It's like 6 or 7 sisters that the Haitians is going to invite as guests of honor for the Oshun priestess ceremony of the sister that gave her life for them to be successful in the Haitian Revolution.
Okay. All right. So let me say this. I see that one of says Alba. Pardon me if I get it right gender-wise, but I don't know if it's a brother or sister. But can you Can you go to my messenger? My name on Facebook is Naya Almakti, and send me your email so I can make sure you get your book for your donation. Me and the sister Jazzy will collaborate and make sure everybody get their stuff and have, the checks and balances to make sure that for your donation, you got your 2 books, and we appreciate y'all. Okay, so let me ask this. So, this is another question. I don't know what this is about though. It says, I thought according to your birth chart, you have to move towards your north node to not reincarnate.
I never heard that before.
I never heard that. So, and then another person says, do the light erase your memory?
Yep. Your memory get erased in the delivery process. They do 2 things. They blind you with the light, then they traumatize you with a slap on the ass. They're not supposed to do neither one of them.
Okay. So will we feel anything?
In regards to what?
When we go from one level of existence to another. I know you said that there's no time, it's instant. So will all feeling, all consciousness, or that's a good question. Will consciousness persist, or will it desist from being in that process?
You're not reincarnated unless your consciousness come back. That's what's reincarnated. The consciousness is moving into a new body.
Right.
Right. These avatars are disposable, but we take the avatars to be the true self.
Right. Right.
We ain't even here. We somewhere else projecting our consciousness into here.
In what way can we actually not intellectually define that more so, but in what way can we actually prove that exists? Like, what type of research can we do to even understand that? Because I don't think that most people understand that.
What part? Messiah?
Can you hear me?
What part did you talking about?
What research can we actually do?
On what?
As far as us not actually being here.
Oh shit, this is a hologram. Go to the Young Elder page. I broke it all down. Life is a Game, part 1 and 2. All of the references and resources is available on the Young Elder discussions.
Okay, for the research sources, and is there research sources that's based on like the I'm talking about specific research sources that you read now, because a lot of people are more interested in the literature that you actually read with all the stuff that you elaborate on.
That all of it is on there. I'm showing it to them in real time on the Young Elder. Part 2 is the hologram part. Part 1 is the rules to the game that you get from the board games.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right. So it's epigenetics. It's dark matter, quantum physics, metaphysics, all of this stuff. Reading material authors, Greg Braden, Tom Campbell, I forget the other guy named Bruce Lipton. These are just some loose resources, just off the top of my head. Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. It's another dude that got one called We Live in a Simulation. Right, all of that together will explain it to you in terms that you can put it all together then.
Okay. Well, with that being said, there's do you want to ask a question, sis, to the brother before we get out of here? Our time is almost up.
I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I don't have a question because I feel that he expounded upon everything well, but that's my overstanding. So I don't have anything further to say.
Okay, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, family. And if you want to sign up for Nuwapic classes, Nuwabu classes, as far as right knowledge Q&A classes that we're having, we're also about to start the online academy. We've decided upon an actual platform that allows us to, put the curriculums together in a more professional manner for everybody. Spiritual building classes. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Naya Al Mahdi. I put it in the live chat. Also, send me a message with that in Facebook Messenger, letting me know that you would like to sign up for the classes. If you've donated, so that you can get your 2 books, also hit me up in Facebook Messenger so that we can, and send your email so we can make sure that you guys get your books. I want y'all to get it expeditiously. You got anything to say, Rod?
Yeah, I wanted to revisit the child education. So when we start properly educating our children, the educational system, they don't get math for a couple of years. The first thing they're learning is phonics. The next thing they're learning is the speed reading program. From there, they are already on the fast track to be able to absorb the amount of information that took me 30 years with my slow reading ass to do. They'll be able to cover that amount of information in 5 years. So by the time they get to puberty, they'll be pretty much intellectually adults. But we don't want that.
Why is that?
The system don't want that. The system is designed to make everybody subservient to maintain the system. We're trying to destroy this system so that we can have a more productive system for the future. And anything that you're doing that's geared to the future, you have to think with the children in mind first. This is where it becomes imperative that we pursue a matriarchal system that is geared around the children first. Matriarchy is geared around the children. Contrary to popular opinion, everybody thinks it's geared around trading places in patriarchy with women, which is feminism. Feminism is just as destructive as patriarchy. It's just the other side of the coin. Matriarchy empowers men on a level to be more functional in the society than patriarchy does. But we won't never realize that as long as we dragging the sisters down and we not protecting those sisters to protect the children. So the children's education must be rooted in critical thinking and practical problem solving and accelerated learning techniques. We have them in math, science, reading. All of these accelerated learning techniques need to be applied to the educational process as early as possible to maximize the benefit. The system that we currently have is a 12-step thinking detoxification. It's like AA for thinkers. If you got a thinker at 2 years old, when the time he get through the school, he's going to be an automaton. He's just going to follow the rigmarole. That's what we need to be focused on with the children in their education.
Got it. Got it.
And that's all I got for now.
Okay, well, we appreciate you. We dropped the brother's Cash App in the chat. If y'all want to show the brother some love, I appreciate everybody for attending. We already up to 300 and something views already, man. You're a powerful speaker. They love it when Rod Hayes come on. And we'll just set up another day and time where we can do it. But the next one, I had asked the brothers, the brother Rod Hayes, will he do a live with some sisters on the panel? And he agreed. So whenever he has time, we'll set that up. And with that being said, family, wado. Peace.
Let's do.